a bit heavy due to the altitude. We took a holiday to Tenerife, and rather than relax by the pool or sip cocktails at the bar, we decided the best use of our time was to go and climb the highest summit on the island. On our drive to the start, we went through this forest that had been absolutely obliterated by a fire. Remarkably, the trees were still alive and they were making quite a good comeback. Our guide explained that all the mountains in this area were actually volcanoes, and all the rocks and rubble that we were driving past was in fact a dried up lava field. We were feeling a bit nervous on the drive over because we hadn't trained for this. We just decided we're out visiting the island, why not go and climb that volcano? I'd never climbed a volcano before, and I guess it was just going to be like climbing a mountain. I climbed plenty of those. We were warned though that this was an active volcano, and although it hadn't erupted for many years, there still was a possibility that it could just suddenly blast lava into the air. We got dropped off at the base of the volcano, and this was the first opportunity we had to stand and look at how big it actually was. The landscape around here was like being on another planet. It's like you're walking on Mars. You've got the orange rock everywhere. And there she is, Mount Teide in all her glory. This is going to be a challenge. It was all smiles and happy faces at the start, and we enjoyed just gazing around at the incredible landscape. This used to be an old volcano crater before what's the summit now burst out through the middle. Every time we'd be panning around with the camera, we'd suddenly catch sight of Teide in the background, and there was a reminder that we still have to get up there. We started the route at the main sign for the national park, which of course needs a picture. Our guide was so knowledgeable. He told us so much information about the type of rocks that you had around here, and they were weirdly light because most of it was full of air. The hiking trail was really quiet, not something we're used to, but most people that visit Teide do so around the other side of the volcano, where there's a cable car and you can just sit on a seat and ride to the top and come back down again. That felt pointless to us. We enjoy hiking and the challenge involved. And the only reason we hired the guide was because we had no way of getting to the start. We also wouldn't learn half the things that we did about our trip. Such as these. They're known as Teide Eggs, or huevos del Teide. They're basically massive balls of lava that shot up into the sky and rolled down the side of the volcano and erupted. And they just stopped in their final resting place, where you can find them today. As you can see from the path, it's really well marked out, and they've even put little, almost like little curbs of rocks either side, just to stop you straying off the main path. Our guide set a steady pace, and he explained to me that he prefers to keep going at a slower pace rather than stopping, resting and picking up the pace a bit further on. I kind of disagreed with this and had to go with what my body was feeling. Over many years of hiking in various locations, I've learned that if my body wants to stop, it's going to stop. When we booked this trip, I was a bit sceptical about the qualifications of the guide because there wasn't really any choice. This was the only company we found, and I'll put a link in the video description, but there wasn't any other choices. Our guide soon put my mind to rest, and I was impressed by the detail that they have to do in their training compared to the people I know in the UK that have done the mountain leader training. The guides out here in Tenerife have to be prepared for all seasons, so you have to be winter trained. You have to even learn to use skis as well as the standard crampons, ice axes and safety equipment. Most UK mountain leaders don't even compare to this level of mountain guide. There's not really many places to stop apart from this one refuge, but it was closed unfortunately. Lucky for us, we made some baguettes and packed some lunch and sat enjoying the views while we ate. Lunch didn't last too long, and before you knew it, we were back on the trail and heading back up again.
Give us a wave. There's my trooper. Just reaching 11,000 feet. Don't know what that is in meters. Just correct it. Breathing's a bit heavy due to the altitude. Oxygen's a lot lighter. We're pushing on. Yep, fell back down. Finding this a little bit harder than Tucal. It's the heat and the altitude. I always struggle, and the cold and the altitude. Been feeling it since about 2,500 metres, and then it's got progressively harder from 3,000.
I don't usually feel any effects of altitude until around 3 to 3,500 metres, but this time it was a lot sooner. It was around the 2,500 mark. This sign is the marker for the final part of the summit. The gas was pumping out and it just smelled of rotten egg, which was making me gag really bad. You need a permit to go from the cable car to the actual summit, so not many people do this last stretch. My head was spinning at this point, and it was as much as I could manage to just put one foot in front of the other and focus on doing that last few hundred meters. We looked back at the cable car hut where I stopped to use the toilet, and I'd sat down and nearly couldn't get back up and was so close to just quitting. There was a solid wall that ran up on the right hand side, and I was just leaning on it most of the way up and dragging myself up on a rope chain that was embedded into the side of it. I was determined after coming a couple of thousand meters that I wasn't going to get defeated by the last couple of hundred. Yet it was such a struggle. It was one of the hardest challenges I'd ever done. Although I've done higher summits, I had time to acclimatise on those, whereas this was straight up within a few hours. It means the altitude hits you like you wouldn't believe. And then suddenly we were there. We were on the summit. We'd actually done it. We had a slight delay while we waited for a group of Russians to take their pictures and move on. But then it was our turn. Just look at those views. It made it all worth it. Then we had a little sit down, enjoyed some snacks, enjoyed some views, took a few more pictures, took a few more pictures, took some pictures by ourselves, and it was time to head back down. We were given the option of riding the cable car down, and it was included in our booking, so I thought, do you know what, we deserve a bit of a rest. And we got some spectacular views on the way down. Sitting in the car for the long drive back to the hotel, it felt like a dream, like we hadn't just had that awesome adventure.